Welcome back to another episode of Cobra Kai Companion, and I am Peter.
I am Brianna.
And today we have another interview. I'm very excited. Joining us today is Michael Sasaki, who is in Season 3. Hey, Michael.
Hello. How are you guys?
Good.
Doing good. Yeah,
Awesome.
I'm excited to speak with you. You know, like when I reached out, you're like, oh, well, I have a small part. Like that's not why. I mean, that's part of the reason we reached out, but we want to know about these people that are on the show. Like,
Yeah.
everyone has, such interesting stories and everyone's grown up differently. You are Japanese American. I'm Laotian American.
Wow.
And yeah, and I want to hear your story and see if our upbringing or whatever our background is is anything alike. So
sure.
kind of just jumping into it and getting to learn a little bit more about you. You were born in California.
I was born in California, yes.
Yeah. So what was it like for you growing up?
Oh, well, first of all, thank you for letting me be here. When you reached out to me, I was very honored that, like, wow, even for a role like this, I get to do a fun podcast about Cobra Kai. So I was really excited, that I can come on here. But yes, I am Los Angeles homegrown, born and raised in Monterey Park. I also lived in Torrance, and that's where I went to high school. South High, so I was a Spartan. But yeah, growing up in Los Angeles, us LA people are so chill. I don't know if you relate, but LA people are just no drama. We're just so chill, So growing up in LA, I never, had any issues with life.
Yeah, I live in Portland, Oregon, and there's a lot of transplants from California, but I actually have some step siblings in Stockton.
Okay.
Yeah, and a friend of ours actually is from Torrance. So shout out to Sensei Pialani.
I was wondering if that's where she was from. Yeah.
That's where she's from. Yeah, she's also friends with Sensei William Christopher Ford, who was in the Karate Kid Part 3 as Dennis, a Cobra Kai member there. Now, your parents, were they also born in the U.S. or were they born in Japan, somewhere else?
My father was born in Hiroshima and my mother was born in Tokyo.
Oh, I know both of those places.
Yeah? Have you been?
I have not been, unfortunately.
Yeah,
but
they're great cities. Really amazing cities. But yeah, they immigrated here in the 70s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I have that kind of second generation experience where, your parents are from the native, homeland. And I'm growing up confused with like two different cultures in my head, So.
Like a little Laotian boy who didn't speak English until he was 7, right?
Oh,
well, I mean, I was put. No. The funny thing is, I spoke English, but the story is, my dad always told me, keep the English at home. You speak your tongue. Oh no, I'm sorry. Keep the English at school. You speak Lao when you're at home. So that way we can kind of keep that going on, and you don't lose the language. Funny enough, two siblings later, and it's like it's all broken English and it's mixed English and Lao. I'm just like, wait a minute now. Like, you guys were hard on me at trying to like keep the Lao thing going. Like, what's going on? You're speaking English to the sisters? Like, I don't get this. But they put me in ESL in like second grade. I was like, I thought I spoke good enough English to like not be in that, but English was my second language. So pretty close there.
I spoke Japanese at home. And my mom, she couldn't speak really good English, so I had to speak Japanese. I was kind of like forced to, speak Japanese. But I did go to Japanese school, and I hated it. I think a lot of Japanese Americans can relate. So I quit after I think it was 6 months. I was being bullied too, so I hated going to Japanese school. But I speak conversational Japanese. I can't read and write. But I have some auditions where I speak Japanese. So, but then, outside of home, I would be speaking English. So I got to see this kind of dual culture. It's interesting.
You mentioned being bullied in Japanese school, and if you don't want to share, that's completely fine. But I'm a little curious because it's at Japanese school. Is it other Japanese students? Like, is it because you were born in the U.S. or what was it?
It was, that's a good question. It was, I think, Japanese American kids who were put into that school so that, kind of like my situation, parents who had first generation Japanese parents. Who wanted their kids to learn Japanese. So it was Japanese Americans that were at school. And I don't know, I guess, I don't know. They just wanted to, pick on me. And so,
kids are assholes.
Kids are assholes. Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes
they'll do whatever
no reason
they can to feel better, But,
build themselves up by tearing other people down.
Yeah.
So what were, here's a very leading question. We know you as an actor now, but what were some of the activities that you took part in high school that people might not know about you?
Sure. Sounds like you might have done a little bit of research.
A little bit, just a tad.
Yeah.
I grew up as a competitive figure skater. I stepped on the ice at age 10 and fell in love with it. I had watched it on TV. I think I watched like the 92 Olympics. And I was just so fascinated to see these people like spinning and jumping on the ice. And so I knew I wanted to do it. And the first day I did it, I fell in love. And, I came home and I said, Mom, I'm going to be a skater. And I started skating. And, at 13 years old, I won the Junior Olympics. And then, after that, I went into the national circuit and international circuit and went to Olympic trials in 2002. And right around that time, I started college, so my attention kind of shifted. And so I started to just compete collegiate competitions. And then after that, I decided to retire from competitions. And then I went to skate on cruise ships. There's, Royal Caribbean has, I think, 13 ships right now with ice rinks on them. And they're kind of like Vegas style, variety style ice shows. And so I did that for many years. And then I retired from that and became a coach. And so now I'm coaching and acting.
So when did acting come into play? Is that something you also did in school?
I did. I did my first acting class when I was like 5 or 6 in Hollywood. My parents took us to this class. I don't know what we were doing, but we were just like taping ourselves on camera. We were just trying to be like, gangsters, and I don't
at 5 or 6. Okay.
And that was kind of my first exposure to acting. And because of skating, I kind of tucked away my little acting desire. And so I always knew I wanted to be an actor, though. I'm a big ham at home, and I'm always entertaining my family. And even in high school, when Titanic came out and Romeo and Juliet came, Leonardo DiCaprio was famous. Like I wanted to be him. And so I would, get my dad's like camcorder and make movies and reenact all the, Leonardo DiCaprio scenes. And I was obsessed. But because skating was such a big part of my life, I couldn't really take it, seriously as a career. And so when skating kind of finished in my mid-20s, late 20s, is when I started to really pursue acting. I got a commercial agent. I started doing a lot of theater work. And then finally, these last 4 years, I would say, were kind of the most serious when I started to get really serious with my acting in terms of TV and film. And started to get, some rigorous training and started booking things. So yeah, I guess I would say the last 4 years are kind of like when my film acting career started to really take off.
I want to piggyback something real quick, Brianna.
Yeah.
Michael, you mentioned Leonardo DiCaprio. One of my favorite actors too. Titanic is probably like top 5 movie of all time for me. I feel embarrassed because like I've only seen it 3 times in the theater. Like I know somebody who's seen it 14 times in the theater. Anybody interested? I reviewed Titanic on my other podcast, Nostalgic. Nice. But anyway, previous interviewee, Okeme Aquari, he also listed Leonardo as like one of his inspirations. So that's kind of cool that we've had 2 season 3 people mention Leo, kind of drop that there. Yeah.
That's cool for you. He's not contemporary to your age. That's the equivalent of both of them saying that people my age are their lifelong idols. Wrap your head around that.
Well, he's a classic, you know. He's just has done so many things across the board that I think can touch people of all generations, you know. And it's been I see him now and just seeing how much of not just a great actor he is, but a great human being, you know, and seeing all the amazing work that he's doing to really, you know, bring light to environmentalism. So he's still my role model in that sense that, wow, like not only I can be a great actor, but I can use that to better our society. So
that's awesome. And, you know, I mean, I joke around about feeling old and everything, but that's one of the things about, you know, reaching out to, like you said, you were, you know, amazed that we would reach out to interview you. Leonardo DiCaprio started out as a no-line character on Growing Pains, and then ended up getting lines from there, and then moved into movies, and all of a sudden he's nominated for Oscars, never winning any, but I'm just kind of.
I think he did win one.
Yeah,
right?
He finally did.
Hollywood?
Yeah.
Was it for Hollywood?
Yeah, I think he finally did for. Was it? Yeah, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I'm kind of flabbergasted because you have been an amateur, ice skater. Because you never went pro with it, right? You always retired before you reached that point.
Well, there's a weird way to look in skating. Being professional means you're making money off of it. So in the amateur world, the Olympics is actually amateur status. So you're getting endorsements and stuff as an Olympian, but you're not considered professional in terms of your kind of status, I guess. So you're considered amateur even when you're competing in Olympics. So I guess we do call ourselves professional as a show skater and as a coach.
Okay, because you skated on the Carnival cruises.
Yes.
Okay.
Royal Caribbean, yeah.
Oh, Royal Caribbean. Sorry, don't want to get you in trouble. But I'm just thinking, people, you know, when you ask little kids what they want to be, they'll say things like, "I want to be a doctor and a lawyer," or "I want to be, you know, a rock star and a sculptor," and it's always these outlandish things. And my 2 outlandish things that I wanted to be when I was a kid were ice skater and actor. And my parents told me I was insane because it couldn't be done. But obviously it can.
Well, then I must be insane.
So congratulations on living my dream, basically, is
Thank
what I'm
you.
saying. That's awesome.
Oh, that makes
and you ended up on Cobra Kai. So yeah, there's
there's
a number
another
of things
one,
there,
right? I'll just live vicariously through you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Now, having immigrant parents, right? Like, how supportive were they about you skating and wanting to be an actor?
They were always supportive. I have this tendency to come up with like a new idea every 4 months, and so there were many phone calls. Where I would call my mom and be like, "Oh my God, I'm going to be this now," and she'd be like, "Okay, you do it." And then 4 months later, I'd be like, "I want to be this now," and she'd be like, "Okay, just do it." So, I think they were always supportive of my dreams and what I wanted to do. I think my dad, on the other hand, was a little bit more critical about my, career decisions. I think, I don't know if this is an Asian parent thing, but maybe it's just a my family thing. But my dad was like, "So how about Harvard? How about, this, and how about that?" And he never really forced it on me, but it was always kind of a how about. And I think looking back now, I think he did want me to go maybe a certain path, but was never pushy about it. So they were overall supportive, and I'm grateful for them. So.
Yeah, that's amazing to have that support in the family unit. Just kind of thinking back to your comment about the Asian parents. Like I'm actually a little as disciplinarian as my dad was. I hope I said that correctly. English words are hard.
Yeah.
we talked off mic about me. English is my second language.
Disciplinarian,
but
by the way.
Yeah. See, there you go. It was close. Like
Very close.
Some of the letters were there. But yeah, surprisingly, he never pushed any particular occupation on me. But growing up and coming from a military family, both sides of the family, my mom's side, my dad's side, has a huge military background. One of my grandfathers was military police. His brother was a general. So really high power type stuff, and we've heard all types of stories. But my father has always talked about the military, and it would be cool if I had continued that that tradition, but he would never pressure me, and he would always say that, be like, if you ever did the military, but I don't want to pressure you into joining if that's not what you want to do. But during high school, I was a teenage father, and I think this is kind of where the Asian family thing kind of comes in. But my father lost face because he was very embarrassed to have a teenage son that was already fathering a child. And, I kind of got sent away to go live with my mom. That I came back on my own because my girlfriend was here in town. And so I needed my dad because I was just I can't do this. I don't know what to do. And I need my father. So in my mind, I was like, well, he always talked about the military, what if I enlist? And enlisting was probably one of the best decisions I ever did because it brought us close. He sent me a letter while I was at basic training, was talking about how much I brought honor to the family name. And he told me I love you. And I was like, where's this all coming from? I was like, I don't know this man that wrote me this letter. And people were like, did you get dumped, bro? I'm like, no, this is a letter from my dad, so I can relate.
Wow, thank you so much, Peter, for sharing that. That's very touching.
I
think connections with our fathers are a very challenging subject in, I think, Asian culture. Just because, well, maybe not just Asian culture, maybe it's a world thing. Maybe there's this kind of natural resistance with father and son kind of relationship all around. And maybe it has a lot to do with kind of masculinity and, navigating that. But I think it's always great when, we can forge our relationships with our fathers and surpass any past kind of challenges that may have maybe hurt us or whatever, But thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, sure thing.
When you were in college, because you mentioned briefly that you did go, what did you major in? And did you go all the way through and graduate and get a degree?
Yes. So I went to a private liberal arts university called Soka University of America. We were actually the first class of this university back in 2001. Class of 05. So it was a very unique situation because you'd be crazy to attend a university that was unaccredited, and I mean, aside of all that, the main focus of this school was to promote global citizenship and peace and mutual understandings between cultures through dialogue and education and art. And so it was founded by a Buddhist philosopher named Daisaku Ikeda, who really envisioned a school to really bring the world together, kind of like a mini UN, if you will. And so that really struck me because I was looking for, something big in my life, something meaningful. And not to say other schools weren't meaningful or have high ideals, but this particular school really attracted me in terms of peace building, because I was raised Buddhist, and so a lot of the themes of peace building, mutual respect, dialogue, those things were ingrained in me as a kid. And so to be able to go to a school that would, educate us based on these kind of humanistic qualities was something I think I was really searching for deep in my heart. So I focused in social behavioral sciences. And let me clarify, it's not a Buddhist college. It's non-sectarian university. It was just founded off of Buddhist principles. And so yeah, and I do, I don't use my degree at all. But what I can say is actually, I do, I guess, use my life lessons that I've learned in the 4 years at Soka. And a lot of it have to do with the friendships that I built there. I can now say I have friends all over the world, from Africa to Fiji to Japan to France to Spain to South America, just because it was an international school. And so learning how to really have dialogue with people of different, borders really opened my eyes to my own humanity. So it was a great experience.
I was going to say,
wow.
you may not use that degree professionally, but just from talking to you these last 25 minutes or so, I get a feeling that you use it in your everyday life, because that's...
Oh, thank you.
That's I'm just blown away that such a place even exists. That sounds amazing.
I mean, I've had kind of my share of challenges of being kind of a guinea pig in a new university. And we did get accredited right before we graduated. That was like, a great victory for all of us.
Awesome.
Because we were able to, graduate confidently. So, they down in Aliso Viejo, California, they exist.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
I don't even know what to say though. That's quite amazing.
I wish
guess
that
probably...
it existed when I graduated from high school. That's,
Well,
you know what, that we were a bunch
there.
of heathens. We didn't understand that the world needed to learn how to relate to each other, because we were all still separated. We all lived in our own little bubbles. So,
well, it's really interesting because our first year there is when 9/11 happened. And, it was actually... School started in August, and then September 9/11 happened. Mm-hmm. So then I remember just waking up and going to class, and class was canceled. And, there's this big monitor on TV, and I was like, what is going on? And that night we held a forum with all the students and faculty, and just like, it was so touching to see, all these people in this room from different countries, different backgrounds, just really profess their desire for peace, and how can we, get together and really dialogue to make a better world. It was just an incredible experience.
I'm going to jump in, and you are giving me so much hope for humanity right now, which has been absent from my life for so many years. There are still decent people out there. Not everyone's an asshole, and that's really good to hear.
Yeah, I'm trying to, find those nice people as well. I think we're in a time where we have to really challenge ourselves to see the good, wherever we can in this kind of like turmoil.
And be the good no matter how hard it is.
Be the good. Exactly. Yeah. It's a challenge, but, we can do it.
Wow.
I think so. Oops. I'm sorry. Let me silence that there. I think we can transition into some of your work. I did watch your reels, and one of them I'm very curious about because I didn't see it listed in your IMDb, and I'm very fascinated with this. It was a little brief, but not your average fortune teller.
That's a good one.
I laughed my ass off so much, and I'm like, is there more of this? I want more of this. So what can you tell us about that project?
You know what? That was just kind of like a little hoot, like a little fun thing that my friend Max and I, he actually wrote it. And he was like, hey, I have an idea. Can you be, my fortune teller? And I was like, okay, let's just do it. And I, read his script, and I just busted my ass, just laughing at his, jokes. It was just hilarious. And so, it's just a little short film that we made, like what do you do when you have two kids who love movies and a camera? You make movies in your living room, And so he was my roommate at the time. And we just, had fun. I guess that's what we're supposed to do now with this digital age, right?
I think so. Like I'm gathering that we're the same age. During 9/11, I was in basic training. I'm class of 2001 is when I graduated high school.
Yeah, we
But
are the same age.
yeah. So like all throughout high school, I would always find a way to turn any project into like film related or music related. I also used to rap. So I wrote some songs. So
cool.
some of them are out there somewhere. But I turned. We read To Kill a Mockingbird, and we were supposed to write a narrative story based on that. And I wrote a rap song from the POV of Jim Finch, like the brother who's yeah. So I turned that into a song, and I had French class, and I turned that project into a song. And I did a lot of shorts too, but that was the days of the VCR where you had to put 2 VCRs and connect them, and if you want the score, you had to use the cables to your like stereo system. So the kids, they don't know how easy they have it just with the damn iPhone.
That's right.
Yeah, you're describing AV Club. Add in 30-pound video cameras that we had to, promise the club sponsor our firstborn child if we dropped the thing. And you're describing AV Club from the 80s. So
yeah. One of our shorts, I don't think anybody has a copy of it, but we basically did our version of the Goonies. It was
Oh, wow.
we found a map and we went treasure hunting.
That's cool.
But yeah, editing was yeah, Goonies is great. It's they filmed it in my backyard. I'm in Portland, Oregon, and they filmed in Astoria.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
not too far from here.
Cool. Speaking of making movies on old machines, when I would make my camcorder movies with my friends, I'd have to you'd record and then you'd stop record. And you would pick up to the next scene, like the next angle, and you press record, and because you couldn't edit on 8mm, you just have to do it as you want to see it. So, but now you can edit a whole movie on your phone. It's crazy.
It is. Yeah, you're speaking my language there.
Oh yeah, I mean when I was in grade school, junior high, the epitome of nerdiness was Commodore 64. Which was basically a keyboard you plugged into your TV. So,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I'm
wow.
The computer has grown up with me, but it has far surpassed anything I've ever done with my life.
Wow.
Absolutely.
All right.
So I have to ask, I don't know if it's been released yet. My husband would know because he is a huge Shameless fan.
Yes.
Can you talk about that at all? Or is that a spoiler? It's out, right?
It's not out yet.
Oh, so we have to stop at you're on Shameless.
We have to stop there.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think because it's on IMDb, I think the most I can say is that I'm in episode 7. So.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Something to look forward to there.
That's public information.
There we go. There we go. When it gets there, I will make sure to watch that episode.
So wink, wink.
There we go.
Okay, another project that I would like to hear you speak about, and I'm going to butcher it. Masaru?
Masaru, yes, Masaru. So the correct pronunciation with a Japanese accent would be Masaru. You can say Masaru. Yeah, that's a short film that I am currently, in the process of making. I'm doing a little read-write with the script. I had some producers and directors look at it and, got some great feedback. But ultimately, it's a film based on some elements of my own life. And essentially, I want it to be a feature. But right now, I want to just focus on creating the short. But it's about, coming out. It's about confronting toxic masculinity. It's about father and son relationship. So it covers kind of all these themes. And it's a very personal story to me because it involves elements of traditional Japanese dancing, which is what my late mother used to do when she was dancing. And, as a kid, I always saw my mom dance. and that always kind of left. I think that's where I got my kind of artistic inspiration from, is just by watching her dance throughout my life. And so I wanted to combine baseball and Japanese traditional dancing in one movie, and kind of show this juxtaposition of how we view masculinity and femininity, and to try to kind of break this stereotype that we've created. So that's kind of in the works right now.
That sounds amazing. I would very much like to see that.
Wow. That's like all I've got. So your character on, is it Biffle? I assume,
yes.
Not Biffle.
Biffle.
It is Biffle.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
so
Biffle.
he is an aromantic bisexual.
Yes.
My daughter is ace, so I can relate to that part of it.
Awesome.
But
Cool.
what is it like bringing him to life?
It was a huge challenge, because when I first, signed on board to the project, I'd never met, an aromantic person before. And so, you can do all the research that you want, but it's like, it was difficult for me to not know an actual, aromantic person. But I did actually, once the project started, to get in touch with an aromantic bisexual person. And he was able to really share with me his story, and how he came to be, and the challenges of an aromantic, person. And it really shed a lot of light on me, and I, appreciated it, because it helped him really understand the character that I was portraying. So it's a fun show. Right now it's playing out on Reverie, or I believe it's on YouTube as well. So please check it out. It's a great kind of introduction to, the current tone of the LGBTQ plus community, and how, right now our identity is so important to really assert. And so I think this is a show that really asserts that kind of like identity into our community, and it does so in a very funny, humorous way.
It seems like web series are the way to go, because like Queering is a web series, and if this is
Susan Gallagher
with Susan Gallagher, and I would love to see shows like this get picked up by Netflix and get it out, because with the web series, it's out there, and that's a fantastic thing, but it's a very small viewing audience compared to what a Netflix could bring it, and hopefully that's the next step, is to get a big show like that, with those kind of themes. I think that would actually go a long way toward maybe opening people's eyes.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. Whoever's watching out there, who has the powers.
Right? Well, Schitt's Creek.
Yeah.
The Levees. Yeah. They've done,
my God,
done a huge amount for that. But to see it in a more dramatic way too, I think would be really good.
Yeah. And I think also kind of the normalization of LGBT people, LGBTQIA plus people, in mainstream films is an important thing as well. I am all for creating LGBTQIA plus content, but I also would like to see the normalization of it, where it's not about it and they're already included in the story. And I think we're starting to see more and more of that, where there's like kind of like bisexual characters, or questionable characters, or but I think we still have a long way to go.
Yeah, getting there.
I think so.
Better than it was.
Yeah.
The door has opened.
Right.
Yes. So now
you guys just gotta kick it down. Oh, okay. So we'll saunter in too.
I like saunter.
Yeah. Yeah, Biffle. I'll definitely check that out, because I'm quickly becoming Team Michael here, and I definitely want to support you and check out your stuff
very quickly.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on, because this is amazing.
Yeah. Brianna, do you have any other projects you want to ask him before we get into Cobra Kai?
Well, I've watched a few episodes of SWAT here and there. So
okay.
what's that kind of experience like?
SWAT. That was kind of my first, like, oh, you're on a real big set, network production experience, and I was having a ball. It was so much fun, and working with some of the great actors there, Shamar Moore, Jay Harrington. Can't remember who I had seen with
You
Trisha.
could have stopped at Shamar Moore for me.
Yeah, I know. Hey, I'm Team Shamar too.
Really just like humble and down to earth people. And I really had a great time working on that set.
It appears that you're based out of California. So how did you audition for Cobra Kai, because it shoots in Atlanta?
Actually, their casting is, I think, part of their casting is over here in Burbank. So yeah, my agent got me an audition, and this is the time we were actually auditioning in person. And I just dressed up kind of like a bartender and went for it, and got a call I think a week later and booked the role.
So for
I gotta say, that's awesome. I was surprised. I thought that the little bitty parts like that they always cast out of Atlanta. I didn't know they were pulling them off the coast.
Well, I think for this one. Sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, I was gonna say, and not only that, a lot of the people we've spoken with, it sounds like they did self-tape.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, this one was it was before the pandemic, so
right.
They were doing in-person auditions. I think it might have something to do with the fact that they were looking for Japanese American talent. That's my guess. I'm not, don't quote me on that, but not to say there aren't any Japanese Americans in Atlanta, but
Right.
But they were having to populate 2 whole countries, right? They were having to Japan and Okinawa. So
exactly.
Do you know if there were any specifics for the character of Kenji? Clearly, at the very least, Asian.
Yeah,
but
we're looking for Japanese Americans for this role.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I did it. Did we have a choice of whether we can go in with an accent or not? I don't remember, but I did it with an accent. They seem to love it. So, yeah.
That is interesting. I know that John, Josh, and Hayden, that they like the authenticity, so they would prefer, if because like Tamlin Tomita, she's Okinawan herself, and things like that. Yes. But I do appreciate that. That they're trying to find the right people for these roles. Like one of my favorite fun facts about any of the casting was that the role of Kyler, who went to Josa, who is Korean, Kyler he could have been any ethnicity. So Josa just landed the role himself. So I like it when So you got the audition, you booked the role. What was it like flying down there and your first day on set?
So being on set, I was nervous AF.
You can say it.
Ralph has that effect on me too.
Can I preface this by saying, like, I was playing Karate Kid with my brother Leo as a kid, and specifically part 2, because, I mean, seeing, Tamlin Tomita in a kimono and dance around with I love that stuff. And I just was like, I want to be her. And, my brother would be like, okay, then I'm Daniel-san. And, we would play that, the fight scene at the very end where
Chosen.
Chosen comes in, and what's Tamlin Tomita's character's name?
Why did I just say Yuki? Kumiko.
Yuki is her aunt. You're right, Kumiko.
Kumiko. How do I not know that?
I swear, we are 2 of the biggest Karate Kid Part 2 fans.
Are you sure?
I swear to God, I do not know why Yukie came out of my mouth. Like, what is wrong with me?
She's gonna get shit from our listeners because they know how big. Like I am one of the biggest.
Ever.
Well, I'm one of the biggest Yuji Okamoto fans. I've had a lunch with him at his restaurant, and I commissioned somebody to draw me as Chosen. I could have been your guys' Chosen if I knew you guys as kids.
Wow.
Yeah, Peter has a huge crush on Yuji Okamoto's chest.
Don't we all? I feel like
yeah.
I mean,
even though he was like, the antagonist, we were like, I see that chest.
Right?
Yeah.
When he takes his shirt off, it's like, oh my God. Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of people awakened, I think, when he took that shirt off.
Okay. Karate, what? So anyway, so with, all that said, I was, I knew I was going onto set to do a scene with Ralph Macchio. And so that whole morning I was just like anxiety city, but you get onto set and you do hair and makeup, you do wardrobe, and then you kind of sit in your trailer and TV's really fast. So, you're not sitting around a whole lot. So then they call you onto set, and I kind of sat on set for a little bit, kind of staying focused, going through my lines, and then they invite you to the actual place where they're going to film everything. And so that's where they set up the lights. They mic you up, and then it was lunchtime after that. So then we went to go, stuff our face, and I actually sat down with Ralph and, had lunch with him and got to, exchange some words with him, which was really like super magical. I was like, I can't believe I'm talking to him.
I know that reaction.
Yeah. And then it was time for us to go shoot, and it's not fun shooting with a full stomach. I'll tell you that. Half of you is like, in like food coma land, and the other half of you is like, okay, focus. But yeah, I got to do a bunch of takes with Ralph Macchio, and I'm like saying his full name because I have to.
Right?
Yeah. Right.
I can't say Ralph. That's just too close.
Right.
Too formal.
You're like
Or
Barney.
informal.
Be like Barney on How I Met Your Mother. Screw you, Ralph Macchio. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was really amazing. I had to be really focused because of the kind of the star element in the scene, and this scene really resonated with me in so many ways because I did lose my parents about 4 years ago to cancer, and I had to go through this journey of really learning to speak to them even when they are gone, and so the fact that I was able to say these words to my childhood hero was so meaningful. And my friends after when it aired, my friends texted me and they were like, "Oh my God, that is something you would totally say if like I came to you for advice. You would totally say that." And it was just so cool that I got to kind of like play a role that was kind of like my aura and my energy.
That's amazing. I mean, that's serendipitous if I've ever heard anything, as such.
Did you feel any extra weight on your shoulders, or did they even explain to you? They may not have, because it would have freaked you out. They go to very creative lengths.
Sorry, cut out for 1 second.
Oh, yeah.
Where did I cut out this time? Where did I cut out this time?
Kind of like just after a few words. Did they is pretty much the last thing I remember.
Okay. Did you feel any extra weight on your shoulders, or did they explain to you, which they may not have because it might have freaked you out? They go to very creative lengths to bring Pat Morita into this show. Did they tell you that you were the spirit of Mr. Miyagi in the first half of this episode? Because you absolutely were.
That's so interesting. I did not have that conversation with anybody. But I don't know, should I share my secret?
Please do.
I think I wanted to kind of pay respect to Pat Morita. And so, energetically speaking, I think I wanted to channel his energy. and I was hoping they would write me into the story for further episodes to be the spirit of Pat Morita. But anyway, yeah, I definitely did have that intention in mind. I did think of him when saying these things. I think I did have some thoughts while I was saying the lines, like, this is Mr. Miyagi,
Yes.
Yeah, so I definitely, So to answer your question, no, I didn't have that conversation, but I think his energy, was there for it to create that intention.
The
For
two
sure.
scenes that I think he was most present in were yours, and then the scene with the letters between
Oh
Daniel
my God.
and Kumiko. Yeah,
It was like
Waterworks.
fighting Macchio.
Waterworks.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Insane.
It's a fantastic episode. Now, you mentioned different takes. Well, it was your dialogue pretty much as is on paper, or what were the different takes of?
Yeah, it's mostly it's a technical thing, different angles. We had to deal with the glass, the glass of whiskey or whatever the drink was, with the ice, the ball of ice, and kind of moving that and getting that right a couple of times, the right angle, and then doing an over the shoulder, and then doing an over the shoulder over here. And so yeah, just kind of different angles. And then Lynn Odane, who's the director for this episode, kind of came over to us and talked to us and gave us some adjustments and think about this, think about that. So yeah, it was a really professional set. Everyone was just so professional. And you can feel that everyone's just kind of respecting the space that everyone's working in. So, yeah.
So thank you for explaining
cool.
that's a ball of ice. I was going to ask what the ball was.
Oh, what did you think it was?
I had no idea. I'm like, what the hell is Daniel drinking? It has a ball floating in it.
Yeah, no, I just figured it was a fancy ball of ice. Like, so I thought that's funny that you're like, yeah, thank you for explaining. I was like, it needed an explanation.
It did.
But no,
to me anyway, I'm stupid. I don't drink, so
yeah, I know. I think it's amazing that you actually got to have lunch with him, kind of get that icebreaker before your guys' scene. So that's actually pretty cool. Yeah. Is there anything else that you'd be able to share from the set while you were there? Did you get a chance to meet Tamlin, since it's the same episode, or even Yuji, since he comes in at the end?
I did not. Everything about being on set is kind of like clockwork. So I wanted to kind of linger around and be like, hey, can I take a photo with you? And I should have done that during lunch when I was having a conversation with him, but I just didn't want to be that guy, So I was trying to figure out when to be that guy.
Right.
So, and I didn't get that I didn't get a photo with him, but,
but you got a whole you got a scene with him on
exactly.
Cobra Kai, so
forever photo with him.
Right.
Exactly.
And you got to inspire Daniel, which is like huge. It's like the two biggest things that you can do on this show is either inspire Daniel or get your ass kicked by him. Those are the two things people seem the happiest about.
Yeah.
Ralph I've met him too a couple times just at conventions, and then we interviewed him kind of on accident, and it freaked me out. But he is like the greatest, sweetest, calmest, zenest man on the planet. Totally. And I am petrified of him. So I absolutely get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say that the scene that you were in would have been filmed all at one time, but it was interspersed with him like flashing back to the business meeting and things like that. Did you know when you were filming that was going to be cut up that way, or did you think it was just going to be a scene on its own?
Fortunately, I did read the script, so I knew that kind of the order of the scenes and how they were going to progress, into the episode. But it's always nice to see how they're going to execute that after editing. So, and also as an actor, you always try to think about before and after your scene. And so you kind of keep in mind that kind of range of where the characters are at all times. So I did kind of have a whereabouts of the scene flows.
Okay, I didn't know if it was written that way, all chopped up with the memories like that, or if they were just written as two scenes because they would have been filmed in the block scenes by themselves. I didn't know if that was in the script that way.
Yeah, I imagine television stay kind of close to the script. I think movies tend to be more flexible in that way. I mean, who knows? I could be wrong. Maybe in TV they just change things up at the last minute. But I think I did see it on script the way it was.
Okay.
As we get ready to wrap up, I have one more question. Now, with Cobra Kai moving from YouTube to Netflix, obviously now it's on a global stage. A lot of fans everywhere from around the world. When your character was kind of revealed on the internet, via like IMDb and otherwise, did you get like a bunch of like crazy random messages like, "Hey, is your character related to Miyagi or Chosen?" Like, what was that like when that first came out?
Actually, I think I only had like 3 messages come in, and they weren't very, invasive messages. It was like, "Hey, what's up?" And there wasn't much kind of like big, hype about it. Which is okay,
People are always trying to connect, like new characters to like anybody from the past.
Sure.
So yeah, because I saw it on either Twitter or Instagram where somebody's like, "This Kenji guy is probably going to be like one of Chosen's goons or something."
I may have speculated because I wanted very badly for Daniel to run into people that he could not fight. I wanted Chosen to save him, so I may have speculated that you were one of those.
Gotcha.
But I'm very
and
happy.
I wasn't implying that was you, Brianna.
You were not implying. You were just straight up saying, because that was me.
I forgot that was you, but okay.
But I do like Kenji a whole lot. He's very... I really want Daniel to go back to Japan again and have another meeting with Doyona so he can drink at your bar again.
That would be awesome. That would be great.
That would be. Maybe he and Yuna could come down and have a drink together,
Yeah. That would be so much
looking forward to like, your other projects that you talked about. Definitely, I will definitely keep an eye on your film as well. Michael, thank you so much for joining us and sharing some very personal stories. I really hope that the viewers, enjoy the in-depth conversations that we've had.
Thank you so much. It was an absolute pleasure being here and just hanging out with you guys. So thank you.
Thank you. I adore you. I really do.
Can I see you?
No, I don't have a camera, unfortunately.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
But thank you so much.
Well, I adore your voice and your energy.
Thank you.